Hey, welcome back. It's me, Jessica. It's 2023. I've got a little video for you. I thought instead of talking about a spiritual experience, let's just have one. This little practice I'm going to share with you, you can feel free to adapt to your own needs. It's something that once you learn it, you can find your way into it really quickly. And I also feel like it has really nice carryover benefit effects into daily life. It really helps bring daily life awareness into the spiritual realm and spiritual awareness into the daily realm. And that kind of flow is what it's all about. So if you'd like to, go ahead and close your eyes. If you don't like closing your eyes, you don't have to. Everything I'm about to say is an invitation or a suggestion. There's nothing that has to happen. There's nothing that needs to happen. Really the only thing that you need to do is draw your awareness into this moment, into the words that you're hearing, and whatever happens inside you, whatever experiences are available to you through paying attention to this process. All right, away we go. And let's begin by just breathing our awareness into the body. Maybe right away we get a flash of something the body wants us to know or feel. We just take that information and put it in our imaginary pocket, and we go right back to just gazing inward, perceiving the mysteries and depths that each one of us has within us. So as an antidote already to daily living, we have this moment where we peer inside ourselves and are amazed at the vastness, the depth, the beauty, the drama, all the things happening on the inside. Just checking them out, breathing. Now, to help us deepen into our awareness of these mysterious inner universes that live inside us all, the invitation now is to begin to perceive each cycle of breath as a circle. So the inhale comes up and draws one half of the circle, it gets to the top, and the exhale draws the other half of the circle back down to the bottom. And there are many ways and many levels and many layers of experiencing this circular breath. Find your own way. If you want to visualize it, inhale coming up, drawing one half of the circle up to the top. At the peak, the exhale begins and you ride that all the way back down to the bottom. If you want to feel your breath and energy actually cycling around or through your body as you envision this circular breathing, that's a great idea. It can be very effective to have your awareness on the earth. And as you inhale, drawing energy and information up the front half of the body, making one side of the circle. And at the crown of the head, the exhale begins. And that drawing down of energy down towards the earth is the other part of the circle. Or maybe you have an even more unique or whimsical or personal way of perceiving each cycle of breath as a circle that completes itself perfectly with every round of breath. So the body gets to breathe how it wants. We're not controlling the breathing in any way, but we're watching it, and we are overlaying this vision of each cycle of breath, the inhale and the exhale forming one circle. The next inhale begins and it forms another circle, and so on. So just some time to perceive the circular nature of breathing. Feel free to really get into it if there are any feelings of power or pleasure present. Getting more into the breathing will expand that. And feel free to dial up or dial back the intensity of this little section of musical space, where our only work is to devote ourselves to perceiving each cycle of breath as a circle. Now, as you continue to perceive each cycle of breath as a circle, the invitation is to begin to pay special attention to the little moments of stillness that happen in between our inhales and our exhales, and our exhales and our inhales. There are two little sweet spots, little pauses in each cycle of breath. So there's the inhale, then it gets to the peak, and there's a little pause. It's subtle, it doesn't need to be elongated, it just needs to be noticed, appreciated. And then the exhale begins, and when the exhale finishes, again, that little pause, that little moment of stillness. So for the next little section of music, it's still following that circular cycle of breath, but we're really sort of enjoying our time in those two little pause points, those two little moments of stillness that happen between our inhales and our exhales. Breathing in, up to that peak, there's a pause. Breathing out, down to the valley, there's a pause. And again, up, inhale, briefest moment of stillness, from which the exhale begins, and you ride that all the way down to the finish of the exhale, and then another little pause, another little rest stop. So really getting into paying attention to those little rest stops, those little moments of stillness that happen twice in every cycle of breath. A little bit more time, really paying attention to those little pause points in every cycle of breath, perhaps even perceiving them as truly magical potent little moments in time. Perhaps getting some insight on how you might use this ability to get into the spaces in between to help you magically. These are magic little moments where some intent could be planted, some quick prayer could be uttered internally. Some little call out, call back. And then the next time you inhale, let it be a nice long inhale. And as you exhale, release completely any awareness of how the body is breathing or whatever breathing is happening here. And instead, immediately in your mind's eye, in your imagination, the invitation is to see your own name, ideally just your first and your last name, floating in the air in your mind's eye. It may be interesting to see against which kind of background your first and last names are floating in front of you. Maybe a scene or imagery, a color, nothing. All of that is grist for the mill. All of that can be sort of put in your imaginary pocket to be investigated later. And so really seeing your own first and last name in front of you, floating in midair against whatever kind of background your consciousness is serving you. And begin to really look at your first and your last name. And begin to really be conscious of how many constructs you've attached to that identity of you in the form of your first and your last name. Just noticing nothing needs to be done or changed or explained or defended. Just looking at your own first and last name floating in the air in front of you and staying open and receptive to any insights that come up. Now the next time you inhale, let it be a really beautiful long inhale and an equally lovely exhale. And as you exhale, the invitation is to zoom in between, into this space in between your first and last name. And as you zoom through that space between your first and your last name, that's sort of a threshold, a gateway where you can get beyond all those constructs attached to that persona. So zooming through that space between your first and last name into a whole nother level of experience and reality. Sort of letting this happen. Let's see if we can give our judgmental mind a break and see if we can just zoom through the last letter in our first name and our first letter of our last name. Zoom into that space in between and feel yourself cross that threshold and go beyond that in your vision, in your mind's eye, with your consciousness. And as you zoom through, you're going to find yourself in another level, another layer of perception of reality. And everyone who hears this meditation, we will all experience different things as we zoom through into that space in between our first and last names, and we zoom into some other layer of life, of existence, of energy, of information. And I can't tell us what we're going to see here or feel here or how we'll be changed by this experience. It'll be different for each of us. And likely it will be different for each of us each time we experience it. It's zooming through past the first and last name into a space where we can perceive things, into a space where we can be a little more free and therefore learn a lot more very quickly with ease. So a little musical space here just to be into whatever landscape, whatever situation, whatever energy field you have zoomed your way into. Know that you are going to be able to return completely to your first and last name. So you are free to adventure right now. You're free from it momentarily. What do you find? What does it mean? What do you enjoy? What has value for you from this space? So exploring, feel free to go really far out. It's like you've shrugged off the jacket of your everyday persona, and that's floating in the air behind you. You can always put it back on. But for now, you are experiencing something different. And now very consciously, wherever you find yourself, the invitation is to engage a sort of magnetism to the best aspects of whatever you found. Feel them sort of drawn towards you, the best gifts, the best rewards, your favorite things in the space back here that you found. Feel those sort of magnetize and sort of cling to you, attach to you. As you now zoom back through that space between your first and last name, and you zoom back into your body, and you breathe your body back onto earth where it belongs, and you breathe yourself into this moment, having had that sort of extraordinary experience. Breathing yourself home, feeling the best parts of this practice, zooming, coming all the way back home with you. And in the last moment of this meditation, investigate. What's your highest and best insight from this experience? And keep some gift of this practice in your awareness until you hear the sound of the bells. So I hope you enjoyed that experience. If you want to make it longer, all you've got to do is see your first and last name, and you can actually have a different experience in between each and every letter and take yourself through your name that way. And in between each letter, you'll likely find a different dimension or a different something or other to explore. So thank you so much for joining me here, and I'm wishing you an excellent week ahead.